Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's broadcast, Cervical Cancer, Everlasting World Health Challenge. It is presented by Olivera Markovic, MD, Ph.D., President of the Global Academy for Women's Health and Director at BioSciCon. I am Judy O'Rourke of LabRoots, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. We are delighted to bring you this educational web seminar presented by LabRoots. LabRoots is the leading scientific social networking website and producer of educational virtual events and webinars. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone this event is interactive. We encourage you to participate by submitting as many questions as you want anytime you want during the presentation. Just click on the Ask a Question box located on the far left of your screen and type your questions into the drop-down box that appears on the screen. Our speaker will respond to your questions via email. If you have trouble seeing or hearing the presentation, please click on the Ask a Question box to let us know that you're having a problem. This presentation is educational and thus offers continuing education credits. Please click on the Continuing Education Credits tab located in the top right corner of the presentation window and follow the process to obtain your credits. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Markovic. I will now turn the presentation over to her.
Thank you, Judy, for your kind invitation and the opportunity to share our ideas with your respectful audience, hoping that this short lecture and the discussion during and after it will provide benefit to all of us. I'm going to talk about cervical cancer, the only malignant disease which natural history was changed by the introduction of preventive screening and removal of early lesions. This happened in the U.S., but as a model can be applied worldwide. And this is because I choose to have my title, Clinical Cancer, Everlasting World Health Challenge. I will try now to just let you know about the agenda. I will first give an overview on the status of cervical cancer screening globally with examples from two countries, India and China. Currently, then I will go further about currently available technologies for cervical cancer screening. WHO is looking for new strategies and technologies in cervical cancer screening. Then I will talk about new approaches and new strategies based on biomarkers and telemedicine examples. And the last but not least is education of general public, what every woman should know about cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is second to the breast cancer cause of women's deaths from malignant diseases worldwide. Currently, there are about 600,000 new cervical cancer cases each year, and about 300,000 die, mostly from developing world countries. Sadly, because cervical cancer is completely preventable and curable if detected on time. Women in developing countries are well protected with regular screening and early removal of suspect lesion. For example, in the U.S., outreach is about 80%. Let me just give you India an example. In India, there are 300 million women at risk from cervical cancer, from which only 6%, 20 million living in big cities, are protected with preventive screening. 280 million, 95%, are left behind. About 70,000 Indian women die per year from this disease. In China, there are 1.3 billion population with 0.4 billion women at risk for cervical cancer. In 2010, 75,000 women were diagnosed with cervical cancer and 35,000 women died. Unbelievable, huge number set for the situation in the 21st century. However, in the meantime, Chinese government implemented yearly cervical cancer screening, which is raising the outreach from single digit to 25%. I now would like to give you on an overview about currently available techniques. You can see there they are listed individually, and after pap test, after pap test was introduced, the healthcare industry and healthcare providers became aware that cervical cancer can be fought successfully. Many new technologies have been proposed, but 3 groups of tests became almost standard. The first group are tests based on cytopathology, like pap tests, LBP, ThinPrep. The second group based on HPV detection. The third group are simplified colposcopy, like VIA, visual inspection with acid, and or VIU, visual inspection with Lugol. And of course, real colposcopy plus biopsy plus histology. Later, they have been combined with different methods of management of patients with lesions. However, obviously, in spite of large investment in the prevention of cervical cancer by industry, government, a non-profit organization, the initial enthusiasm in the expressed outcome in advertising HPV testing and HPV vaccines, the eradication of cervical cancer, as well as with other techniques, attempts to solve the problem, provide results that are still below expectation. There are still 300,000 women dying from preventive cervical cancer, which is still on the rise for 10% per year in the world. Even in the U.S., there is a current rise of cervical cancer. The current regulation, and this is USPSTF, what stands for U.S. Preventive Service Task Force, published in 2018, the return to cytological screening, pap test together with HPV dual testing may bring progress, but a change of strategy towards outcomes is necessary to secure the success. According to the most current United Nations estimates, the current world population is 7.7 billion. 1/2 of them are female. With exclusion of young girls and postmenopausal women, there are 2.6 billion women at risk for cervical cancer every day. In spite of all current efforts, as I mentioned, those low-cost methods and all other methods, the outreach of preventive screening globally is at average less than 20%, meaning that about 2 billion women are not protected from a preventable disease in the 21st century. American numbers are evidence-based facts. They really achieved in the U.S. a great success, and healthcare providers should be able to achieve them globally. But obviously, new strategy is needed because the current approaches are not sufficient to stop cervical cancer, constant increase of incidence, prevalence, and mortality worldwide. Only a few developed countries are accepted from this trend. This lecture, as you can see, is emphasizing outreach, and special attention is given to outreach because its importance. When the outreach reaches the 50 and over 50%, 51% population, the curves for mortality start to decline. may I have the next slide? This is one of our favorite slides, which compares the situation with cervical cancer screening in the US, India, and China, together with a perspective to how to reverse the negative trends in India and China. And you can see here wide difference in those three countries. Interestingly, the curve above this column, shows the same phenomenon. If outreach is increased above certain points, then the reversal starts to happen, and the reversal starts to happen. The decrease of negative trends start to take place. What is the foundation of our new strategy? On the next slide, this is a similar presentation in India, where the similar presentation in India, where those facts are also presented about the number of the percentage of the women which are screened and the results on the curve of mortality and prevalence. At outreach of 51 of population at risk, the increasing curve of mortality by 10% annually was reversed to a decreased pattern of about 4% per year. This success is achieved after about 50 years of PAP test application, has shown the way where, and this has shown the way where to go improve the outreach. Now, having the predicate value results and having new tools to meet such strategy, as will be discussed further, it is reasonably to expect that such success can be achieved in less time, in about, for example, 10 to 15 years after implementation. So, considering the new strategy, it is biomarker-based, IT and mobile technology enabled, and self-sample collection, which will all increase the outreach, particularly the unique opportunity that this technology is giving to women to take a sample at home and to send it to the laboratory. This gives opportunity to women who live far from any medical institution to participate in testing. Digital imaging combined with the global networking system can activate local points of care, connecting them with medical centers where image files will be received and make diagnosis possible in time, hopefully when the woman is still on the premises, enabling timely diagnostic intervention if necessary. So we are coming to the goal of the new strategy. The goal of the new strategy is to reverse the increasing curve of cervical cancer mortality, about 10% each year, what is huge, in the countries where outreach is 50% and more of women at risk, and to start the decreasing curve of about 40% annually. Achieving this goal needs general application of the new strategy and tools to do it. I am emphasizing, and it is not enough to emphasize, that outreach is most important. Outreach to screening, is most important as a part of the strategy to change the sad situation in the world and to have so many lives lost from a disease that is completely preventable and curable and in the 21st century. So I would like once just to say that this new strategy has specific aims to increase outreach, then improving the accuracy with new composite biomarkers, and to apply telemedicine, diagnosis at distance, in reducing the cost. This technology, using IT technology, mobile health, are much cheaper, and they are shortening turnout time between collecting specimens and reporting the result. They also reduce the liability because telecytopathology protocol can be made for in the same network. With other words, this is one infrastructure independent technology that doesn't depend on the place where the woman resides. She can have a preventive screening whenever she is located using telemedicine. Now, I would like to specify, to be more clear to the audience, to specify on one example. What does it mean? MarkPap technology is among the first newcomers in this strategy. MarkPap technology is improving the accuracy, new composite with a new composite biomarker called Medical, improving the outreach, introducing self-collection of specimen, home pap test, and improved telecytopathology service, reducing the cost, shortened turnover time between sample collection and reporting the result, lowering liability with the telecytopathology protocol for entire network, and creating an alter structure independent platform where every woman, regardless where she is located, can be screened. I'm very much upset, as you can see, with these huge numbers of thousands and thousands of women who are somebody's sisters, mothers, grandmothers, and wives just die because there is no more efficient ways to stop that with so many tools available and in the 21st century. So MarkPap test could improve the standard pap test it will improve all those pains of the standard pap test, and this is a cost, outreach, non-accessibility, and non-availability of the low-resource rural community, and lack of infrastructure and cultural sensitivity. Because everything can be improved. As I said, there are huge amounts of money invested, but only infrastructure needs decades to improve, to develop. It means to have cytotechnologies in the small villages of India or China. This will take a lot of time, but introducing telemedicine, we have infrastructure independent approach that can help thousands and millions of women. Now, new technologies always need new strategies, always need new technologies. Thinking the tools, the new tools in new strategies always need, and the technologies need new tools, and I'm going to talk about these new tools in the next slide. MarkPap platform technology products are MarkPap test reagent kit, MarkPap self-sampling kit, then MarkPap telecytopathology service. And this MarkPap telepathology service one is ITTHC, what is a center at the point of care, which includes basic infrastructure at POC, then medical centers and networking system and protocol. This technology is, as a matter of fact, biomarker-based, IT mobile empowered pap test, infrastructure independent, affordable and accessible to be performed worldwide. This also has an option for self-sample protection, which dramatically increases the outreach. On the next slide, this is the design of the new services. It includes novelty in specimen collection, specimen processing, specimen evaluation, and follow-up to the results. And Practically, I will return to this. Practically, the whole procedure is that a woman can take a sample at home or can come to the point of care to have a classic pap smear. And then this pap smear is processed directly in the POC by a low-trained technician, and then selected images are sent to the medical center for evaluation. On the next slide, it is the screen cycle for healthy women at risk. This is a network for women who are coming to the POC and come back without fear from cervical cancer. Now, I would explain a little bit who are those new biomarkers and how it is possible, so simple to have such a huge benefit. It is the main component of the technology is the main component of the technology is the new biomarker called medical. It is a composite biomarker providing instant evaluation of metabolic, cancerogenic, and HPV effect on the specimen. Both cytological and HPV disease dual testing in one test is enabled, and with IT mobile exchange of files and protocols for global networking via mobile or internet connection between the POC and the medical centers, with a protocol for turnaround of data within hours and timely intervention. The next slide is showing. The next slide is illustrating this biomarker, and as you can see there are some red cells there. Here, this is the biomarker. The biomarker is visualized as a red deposit in the cytoplasm of abnormal cells. And only abnormal cells show this red color. And it is, like so simple, because at the point of care, we do not need any more a pathologist. We need a person who will, low-trained technician who will process the slide and put the slide on the microscope and look for red cells. And then the fields, microscopic fields, which contain red cells, to be transmitted to the professional for diagnosis. It is practically enhancing the visibility of abnormal cells, because only abnormal cells are red, are marker positive. All other normal cells do not contain any granule of red deposit. And on the next slide now, you see only 3 abnormal cells in the whole field. And it may happen that there are not so many abnormal cells for diagnosis, maybe few. But with a biomarker, with a red color, enhancing the visibility, those cells cannot be missed, what is very important. Now we are coming to products. You can see here which are those products. Those products are, the first product, as I listed in the tools, is the MarkPap test kit, which has reagents for marker visualization and reagents just for morphological screening. And there is a solution, so it can be applied on LBP samples, and also there is always a control site. On the next slide, there is a small kit to collect the specimen at home collection specimen, and this one particular, what is now on the slide on the screen, is for selling in the U.S. On the next slide, for distribution, global distribution, there is a small kit or in the right part of the picture, which is, as I said, for global distribution with a microscopic camera or a cell phone. You can see the kit, you can see the image in the side, and then on the left part of the slide, microscope with camera or with a cell phone attached to the objective. Next slide, please. Just schematic presentation of the route of transportation from home to the lab, transmittal of images by the person sitting on the microscope in microscopic camera, coming to the evaluation place where the result is reporting back by telephone. New slide now. New slide now. One moment, please. Okay. Here on the next slide, you can see the same illustration. I mean, how new tools connecting point of care with expert centers, that just showing that this transmittal can be done by camera on the microscopes, the upper picture, and the lower picture also. The transmittal of images can be done with a mobile phone, which is attached, embedded on the microscope. I'm sorry. One moment. We can. Okay. Just another telephone. You can remove this. Okay. And the last slide in the series of illustration of the technology is a picture presenting telemedicine in service. And from the beginning, when the sample comes in the point of care where it is processed, and then through all servers and connections to the evaluation unit at the end, come to the monitor, and the professional is examining the cells, giving the diagnosis, and send it back electronically to the point of care. So this is one illustration how this technology works. The sample is received in the point of care. Just summarizing, the sample is receiving in the point of care, or it is the smear is done in the point of care. Then the technician, low-trained technician, can process the slide with the simple MarkPap kit. The procedure is made so simple that low-trained technician can do this. So he practically stain the slide for the visualization of the biomarker and for cellular morphology, and then put this on the microscope. The same low-trained technician who need not to be pathologist, who need not to know all the parameters of the chromatin network and the membrane and everything else. This person should only see red cells, biomarker marked biomarker designated cells, and if he sees these red cells, then transmit the image, microscopic image, to the evaluation place and get the results in hours, in less than maybe 2 hours, while the woman is still on the premises to be treated. This is practically what I mentioned in the beginning. This is practically this is practically infrastructure independent technology. At the end, there is about, as I said, not last and not least, but special education. Education is the cheapest, the least expensive way how to get effect and how to support all other technologies. Implementation of new strategy is unseparated from wide education of women and the health providers about the cervical cancer and disease prevention. MarkPap system includes a textbook and supplements referred further. Education is important, and as I said, the least expensive important tool for success. Education of healthy women and girls to learn how to remain healthy. Education in cancer prevention to be relieved from fear of cancer. Education of women with abnormality who are very much scared to guide them through the process and encourage them on every step to cooperate, because it is so important, and women should cooperate throughout the process, not to be afraid. The least, everybody is afraid from cancer, but to inspire them with optimism, to cooperate with the doctor and succeed in the process. This is a life-sparing experience, and those who survive cancer are heroes, I think. Now, what I would like just to tell you something else, details for the technology and everything what I was talking on other issues about can be found in the book, What Every Woman Should Know About Cervical Cancer, which is authored by two authors, by Professor Dr. Nenad Markovic and myself, Olivera Markovic. And this book is a second updated an extended edition of our book published by Springer in 2017. And this is a monograph type textbook with more than 500 pages, plenty of illustrations, explanations, and guidances for professionals and non-professionals audience. This book is available on the Springer website and is available on Amazon. And at the end, I would like just in the inference to say that to repeat the definition of those new technologies, and just this one example, that biomarkers, telemedicine, power, and low-cost, simple, affordable, accessible, and equitable infrastructure-independent platform technology can be developed. This is just one example that I'm sure will be followed with many. When implemented, this technology will help among those which can bring the right care at the right place at the right time for a lower cost. Just this is conflict of interest written here, and at the end, I would like, with great pleasure, to acknowledge the role of Professor Dr. Nenad Markovic. He is MD, PhD, renowned scientist with more than 200 papers, and professor of internal medicine and oncology, author who is, as a matter of fact, the director of the whole cervical cancer program and coordinator of the whole activities. So his role is very much appreciated. And at the end, I would like that you have my address, Olivera Markovic, MD, PhD, and my email, and I encourage everybody at any time to get in touch with me and ask questions, any kind of questions, and I would be very happy, me and my collaborators, to respond to all of you. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will be probably communicating and seeing you in the future. Goodbye now, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Markovic, for that informative presentation. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via email. Just click on the Ask a Question drop-down box located on the far left of your presentation window. Type your questions into the box that appears on the screen and click on the Send button. Our speaker will follow up with you. I would like to once again thank Dr. Markovic for her presentation. I would also like to thank LabRoots for making today's educational webcast possible. Before we go, I want to let everyone know that today's webcast will be available for on-demand viewing through February 15th, 2019. You'll receive an email from LabRoots letting you know when this webcast will be available for replay. Please share that announcement with your colleagues who may have missed today's event. That is all for now. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.